as Beck said, I'm Willow Hart. I'm from ArtsWorks and I'm here to talk about marketing on a shoestring. For those of you who don't know, ArtsWorks is a department of the University of Southern Queensland, and we enable emerging and established artists. And ArtsWorks is visited approximately by 20,000 people each year, so we're pretty proud of that number. So at ArtsWorks, we do a bit of everything. We do theatre, we do concerts, we do festivals, workshops, films, art talks. We hire our venue. The things that we're doing, we're producing in-house, and we're also getting external people in as well to produce work, so it's very exciting. We also do visual exhibitions, and they're a big part of it, what we do as well. All the marketing for absolutely everything we do, it's done in-house by myself, who works part-time, and by one other person who also works part-time, so we do everything. I believe that the key to marketing success is actually having a marketing plan. It's really important. It's a time where you can actually stop and think about who your audience is, what your goals are, what are the unique selling points, what your budget is, what you've done previously. It's really important to evaluate what you've done before so you can think about what worked well, what didn't work well. And your marketing plan, a lot of people can get really intimidated by this. It does not have to be a really big document. It can just be a one-pager, but it's just important to take that time. And even if your budget is $0, you can still do a marketing plan, and you can work out who your champions are going to be in the community. You know, where's your free marketing? So it's important to take that time. Marketing, your essentials, and your essentials can really be done for under $500, so we're talking really cheaply here. So it's about building networks. So like what we're doing here today. So who do you know? What database do you have? You know, networks in the community, in your schools, in your retirement villages, you know, finding that one person who could be a champion. Your website, so if you haven't got one, it can cost money, or you can build your own on WordPress, which is what we're currently doing. E-news, so with your e-news, it's really important to have some kind of email subscription list. For every email that you've got, it's worth $1 in marketing sense. So if you have 1,000 people subscribed, it's $1,000 worth of marketing. It's a very effective tool as it's direct. People have signed up, they are interested in your product. Social media, I'm sure everyone's here on it both personally and also for their business. That's where people are going, and some people are now actually replacing their websites with social media, so it's very important that you're there. Again, choosing though which ones are appropriate to your audience, which ones are appropriate to you. Always thinking about the end point of contact for your customer, so where are they going? Stakeholder lists, and with stakeholder lists I mean you need to have a current list of all your media. You need to spend time keeping current on who the school teachers are that's relevant, who your councillors are, who your local MPs are, all those sorts of lists. You should have different lists that you can combine together when you need them, or do really targeted marketing, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Media statements, so I've certainly found, coming from Brisbane and then moving to Toowoomba papers, they're really time poor. So by calling them and saying, hi, I've got this production coming up and this is what it's about. They can even say to me, look, I don't have any time to write about this. Can you write the article and send in the photos? Sure, I can do that. It's an unpaid ad, and they're picking things up word for word. We're talking a one-pager with quotes and images, and I usually send in about 4 or 5 images. Visual presence. Now, this is paid. I mean, you do have to spend money to get posters and flyers printed. I'm finding that posters are still an excellent way of hyping up a town, getting the buzz out there. I do find it very effective. I'm finding A3s are the best at this point, because a lot of cafes have got so many posters they don't have room for anything bigger, and anything smaller does seem to get lost in the crowd. There's a lot of free what's happening in the community this week or this month, and you should be using as many of those as possible. It's just a great way of getting the word out there as well. The luxuries are, of course, paid advertising, and we're talking both online and traditional. If you do have a plan and you are looking at your spend, 70% of your budget for marketing should be going on online, and 30% should be going on traditional. This is best practice at this point, and that can feel a little bit hard if you're not used to that. It can be a bit intimidating, but that's where your audience is. And of course, the opportunities with sponsorship and cross-promotion and grants. I know that when we're applying for grants, we always include a percentage of that saying it's going to be for marketing, and that's how we build up our marketing costs, is through those grants as well. So, and even then, it's not very much. So social media, we're just restarting our page. We're going rogue. We used to be part of the university's website and also their social media, and now we're having our own. We are using Facebook, Instagram, we're using Pinterest, Twitter. They're our main ones at the moment. We're doing that because that's where we're focusing our time. Everyone needs to think about how much time and resources they have. I know a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people today say, you need a full-time person on social media. You do and you don't. You can be smart about it as well. Like, we're getting a lot of people, like our cast and crew, to be giving us the information. This is how many characters we want. This is the kind of images we want. So we're getting other people to drive our content, making it very effective for us. It means that they're interested, they're buying into what we're putting in, and it's also making it simpler for ourselves. So, and again, with social media, you need to be across your organic reach and your paid reach. And the paid reach is really tricky. It's changing all the time. Sometimes when they find out you're willing to pay, they will give you less organic reach, meaning that they're knowing you have to pay. So you just got to be aware of these things as well. It's always changing. Remembering in your community, there's so many people who actually want to help. The theatre, performing arts, visual arts, it's something that people do actually want to be part of. So who do you know socially, professionally that can help you? I often only think about who I know professionally, but socially, I do know someone in the Department of Education. Oh, they can get me the list of all the current teachers without having to spend time calling them all up. So things like that, just thinking really smartly about who you know. You know, can they put it up in your lunchroom? Things like that. Talking to the media, as mentioned before, works really well. Can the cast and crew help you promote? And I guess when we're taking on productions, we now need to start asking them, what are you doing, each and every one of you, to bring at least 10 people to the show? So it's not just about marketing people getting bums on seats, it's everyone's job. We talked about stakeholder lists and distributions, and that's where your networks and your mutually beneficial relationships, like I could say to Beck here, I've got a show and I think it would really work with some of your audiences. Can you plug it on your stakeholder list, and maybe there's one that's coming up soon that I can plug on yours. So actually working together is a really good way. And I just want to run you through just two really quick case studies, just very briefly. So Giovanni Ray de Pedro, he's an international pianist who's coming to play at the end of this month. And we're doing a range of marketing for it. Marketing plan has been done. But I guess the thing that's going to be really interesting about this one is we're not going to do any paid traditional marketing. None. It's going to be online. So this is really different for us in particular. We haven't done this kind of thing before. We have traditionally gone to traditional marketing. So it'll be interesting to see the results. Already our click-throughs are doing really well. With any kind of social media campaign, we make sure we do it for a minimum of 1.5 weeks. We do a click-through rate, not any other types of rates. And we're really focusing on what we want that end user to do. So it's really about buying those tickets. It's not about likes. It's not about raising awareness. This one is really about buying. So we're going to be doing 3 Facebook campaigns. One is going to be about just visually what it's going to look like. One's about video, so you can get a sample. And then the other one is more about the text, where he's coming from, so people will get bombarded. And the great thing about social media is that, of course, you can target your campaigns. It's very simple. You say where you want, where your audience is. So you type in like postcodes, towns. It's very simple. You say what interests they've got to be in, and then you're building an audience. So that's really exciting. The other one I just wanted to run through as well is Bald Heads and Blue Stars, and it's a verbatim play that we've got coming up in August. And this one, we've seen a great opportunity. Now, I just also want to say the budget's in here, $3,500. For us, that's quite a large budget, and that's again because we've got grants funding. So when we say shoestring, I'm thinking much smaller than this. This is because we've got grants for these ones. But here, there's actually an opportunity to develop a new audience. So this play is about women with a hair loss condition, and so we're targeting hairdressers. So this isn't a place that we usually go to for audience. It's not known as our major theatre groups, but for us, they're people who are always speaking to the community. It's a play that's relevant to them. A lot of people who are suffering this condition, the first place that they find out about it is when they're going to get their hair cut, and then it turns out, oh, why don't we try this haircut to cover the bald spot? My what spot? So this is about going to where people who suffer from this condition might first find out about it, creating that conversation, and in turn hoping that the hairdressers will then create more conversation with the community, so reaching a whole different audience that's essentially free marketing, because we're just going to be calling them, emailing them, and getting the word out that way. And already we're getting a really good uptake. We've already started those conversations with hairdressers, and they're asking us for our promotional material. So this is a really great case study of where it's starting to work, and so far we haven't paid a cent, so it's very exciting. And so finally, I just want to leave you with this quote, just reiterating in that, you know, the marketing plan is so important. Creativity without strategy is called art. Creativity with strategy is called advertising. That's it.
Hi everyone, my name's Fee. I run a children's theatre company here in Brisbane called Imaginary Theatre. We make work with children aged 2 to 12. We're about 8-9 years old now, and we do everything on a shoestring. So welcome. I should probably say that before I get started, marketing is definitely not my strong point. I do a lot of things. Out of those things, marketing our events and our shows just happens to be one of them, and I don't do it alone, that's for sure. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of us that work in this company. We're an independent company. We don't have wages. We work voluntarily. We get paid when we do projects. Projects are our thing. Projects are where we have marketing as well. So there's me. I kind of coordinate stuff, producer side of things, work with venues. I should also preface and say we don't self-present our work. So we always work with a venue or a festival. And in that traditional environment, when we first started, it was kind of like, cool, great, hi venue, do our marketing for us. Kind of worked out that was a really shitty relationship. And we started working a lot more collaboratively. We'll let down a couple of times, and now we either do a whole bunch of stuff together, or we go, well, we'll take that on, you take that on, and do a bit of a share. So in our team, we've kind of got a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of different skills. Because we work primarily with families, it means it's really targeted for us. We don't do a whole scattergun approach. We have really direct marketing. So there's me, there's Tom, who kind of manages the art direction, does a little bit of graphic design for us. There's Mark, who does a lot of our research. So if we know we're going to go to schools with a whole lot of conversation, we need to know the buzzwords, we need to know the words that those principals and school librarians want to hear from us. There's no point us talking to them in art speak, they think we're idiots. Education coordinator, we usually get one person in and go, hey mate, can you help us write just a whole bunch of stuff for parents, for the people who are the ticket buyers. So going, great, 2 to 5-year-olds are a great audience, they don't buy the ticket. Let's actually approach these adults. Graphic designer, usually really tends to be a pro bono thing. We have a friend who does our stuff for free. He was a student. When he got a better job, he was kind of like, I like you guys, I'm gonna keep you on pro bono. Woo, find student graphic designers, it's great. Volunteers, we have so many people that help us. We do mail outs every time we do a show, and I have people at my house licking, sticking, folding, and doing strange things with printers and envelopes, and I could not do what we do without them. Use people that you know. Supporters, the people who let me use their printers, the people who put our stuff in their in-use, and mainly our partnership presenters. They're all the people that kind of chip in to help us promote a show on about $45. This is kind of how we work, so I kind of wanted to just let you know what we do, because it's not necessarily going to apply to everything. It's quite targeted for families. 2 to 12, we really care and love our audience. We actually really respect them, and we really don't want to piss them off in any way, because without them, we don't have a job. So we kind of try really hard to have a two-way conversation with our audience, and we try to have a two-way conversation with the venues. So our philosophy about marketing is we actually want to curate the experience from when an adult picks up a flyer to when they get home after the show and they're talking about it at the dinner table. We want that to be a really gorgeous, enjoyable experience. So we try as hard as we can to make every step along the way curated and comfortable and appropriate to the people who are coming to our shows, which is usually really busy parents and really busy teachers buying the tickets. So trying to make their life easier is what we aim to achieve, which actually doesn't cost a lot of money, surprisingly. We ask our audience how we find them. So we've started asking them a long time ago. We keep asking them, they keep telling us, so that we can find them really quickly and really easily and really cheaply. And we share our goals and philosophies with most people. Same as what Willow said, a lot of the stuff we do is exactly what Willow's just said. We share our direct marketing saves us time and money, and it's often a lot stronger than scattergun. Yeah, we do flyers and posters, but we put them in places where we absolutely 100% know that there are families. Cool. So as I said, we always work with people. We have a slightly different approach to how we work with presenters. We kind of make assumptions that they're just as time poor as we are. They may not, the marketer of the venue or the festival we're working with may not know 2 to 5 year old market. They may not know 10 to 12 year olds. So we kind of assume that we need to work really hard together, and that ultimately we all want the same result. So we kind of come in and go, okay, let's assume we've got no money, but we've got us. What have we got? And we kind of start at that point and then start the conversation around, hey, cool, so I know this lady and she's gonna put us on the radio. Great. And acknowledgement is a big thing for us. We've been known to have 12 logos on a poster, you know. These are our collateral. So key for us in collateral is make stunning artwork. Make the first thing that people see for our work gorgeous. It doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot. We have a lot of people who are very generous with their time, same as what Willow said. If you ask people to help, 99% of the time I don't get turned down. Same, really appropriate information, simple is our rule, only put what they need to know. So what we do, yeah, we do flyers, posters, advert templates, e-flyers, and the big thing, excuse me, same as what Willow said, have a plan, get it right pretty early. That's how we save money. We spend a lot of time in the planning stage going really nitty gritty. It's a little bit anal and a little bit annoying doing it up front and kind of putting the cart before the horse, but we really nail down and get on the, you know, a whole bunch of websites, research and go, okay, cool, there's this community centre in that town. Yep, cool. So the Gold Coast has all of these places. We need to hit all of them and do a whole bunch of research first. And then by the time we get to designing collateral and that sort of stuff, we have a really clear vision, a really clear design brief, and we basically aren't paying for the back and forth. We're just going, great, second version, done, print, go. That's something that we've developed over time with really strong working relationships and being really clear at the beginning, but it saves money. We are big fans of templates. So we just came home off a 28 venue tour of Australia, and I sent a pack to every venue, and that had a whole world of templates for them based on whatever their scenario was. So because we make work in theatre and children come to us, it's adults on stage for children, but that doesn't mean that a school can't get involved, even if it's on a weekend. So we find, same as Willow, community champions, school librarians, school principals, school teachers. So we have a letter template that we either give to the venues or we do ourselves, and it's basically, yes, the Education Queensland website has the list. There'll be someone who you can call and go, hey, can you email me that awesome list with a whole bunch of email addresses or postal addresses. They get sent a letter that says, hey, there's this great show coming to town. If it's on a weekday, do you want to bring your school class? This is the age it's appropriate for. Here's our teacher's notes on this website. Generally, that costs us about 45 cents per letter. The venue provides the envelopes. We go to our friends, bigger organisations. I've been to an IGA and asked to use their photocopier before and print all of our letters, so that costs us nothing. And then lick and stick and envelope stuff is volunteers on a weekend at my place with a pot of soup, a whole lot of movies and a bag of lollies. and just getting word out, but getting it directly out. So going to those people and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. It's really clear, it's really direct. Same for sending things to community champions, is giving them a template for something they can use. So with our schools and our playgroups, most of them have newsletters. So we send them this is all you need to whack in your newsletter, and they can copy paste. We can email it to them as a follow-up, taking all of the pain out of it for them and just going, great, I like this, copy, paste. Schedules for the venues. So doing that marketing plan with and for the venues, going, hey, this doesn't have to be that hard. Let's actually look at school holidays are 3 weeks before our show, and our show's in school time. We need to get stuff to that particular community a whole block of time earlier. It needs to be like 6 months before the show. So trying to work on those timelines with those guys. Big suggestions for us is giveaways. The work that we do, encouraging and enticing, offering a whole bunch of stuff. So if we can find partners who might have books or something, we ask a lot of people to give us a lot of stuff. And we rarely get turned down. So publishers have given us books, cafes have given us grandma and baby, cafe vouchers as ticket incentives, all that sort of stuff that we work with the venue to go, how do we actually encourage people in your community to come to our show, particularly when we're working with shows that are completely unknown, like a devised show for 2 to 5 year olds. There's no trust. The community may not know us, they may not know the venue, so for us it's a big trust building exercise and very short of community engagement. Frequently asked information sheets, all stuff that I pull together based on audience responses, the parents' resources that I talked about before, and obviously the artist materials. So that's kind of the timeline that I give to venues. That was based on our tour going, cool, so this is where you sit in the schedule, here's your timeline, how can we work to make that work with you? Which we find means the venues feel a lot more confident in us and our product, and it means I can have a really clear two-way conversation and go, this is why we do what we do, this is our love for our work, and get that marketing person as excited as we are about our show, and then they'll want to work with us too. That's what we find works. Cool. So sometimes it's created by the venues. We find a bit of a split depending on how much money we've got, depending on how much money they've got, as to what's going to work. Graphic design options, I was saying, find some great students at TAFEs. They actually are amazing, and it's great experience for their resumes. Print score discounts and sponsorships. It's hard getting print store sponsorships, but there are a lot of people who'll give you a 20% discount, and that's better than a kick in the face. Acknowledgements. Getting a little help from our friends. Same as Willow, we ask everyone to help us. Anything from, can you put us in a newsletter? Can you tell your friend, sister's cousin, because she's got kids? Can you, kind of just getting on and asking all your friends going, hey, there's this great thing, getting them excited about it so they want to help. That goes a long way with us, particularly online. Our biggest market, same as Willow, is online. Mummy bloggers are huge for us, and no one reviews work for children, so we don't have the luxury of having someone from the Courier come and write about our show, but we have really rad mummy bloggers, and they come and see our show, and they go home, and they have 400 people following their blog. So we actually have a two-way conversation with our audience, which is the cheapest and most effective way that we ever market anything that we ever do, ever. It usually involves having a conversation with those people at the show. Things are pretty relaxed in our work, but we're a big fan of continual promotion as well. So asking the parents, did you have a nice time here? Getting them to do a post-show survey, chatting to the kids, making sure that curated experience from the pickup of the flyer to them walking out that door is positive. If they had a bad experience, I ask them to tell me about it then and there. I reassure them that was a bit crap, and we're really sorry about that. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of people hours, but every time we do that, we get a positive online response. Out of that, we get 4 more people coming to the show, we get 4 more people signed up to our e-news. So that makes the next time easier for us. I don't think conversations just need to be between us behind the stages. I think it has to be really two-way with audiences. And it works well. So we don't stop promoting once the show's open. Most of our shows sell out and we keep promoting because it means we will get a return season and we have a huge lineup of people going, I wanted to see that show, I missed it. It also means we know that we can come back. It also means we've got people to sell to. We encourage all those people to sign up to our e-news. We're kind of lucky we've got a website that was funded by a grant, and we have, you know, people who can send, well, me, who can send MailChimps once every 3 months. Social media is huge. We just did, as I was saying, we just travelled the country. Our whole Facebook page is covered with comments from people in all those regional towns. At the end of our show, one of the actors just goes, "Hey, we're called Imaginary Theatre. We're on Facebook. Tell us what you thought. We'd really love to hear from you." Nearly every town we got a hit, and that's really positive. Other people go to our site then. They all speak for themselves. Post-show feedback. I really can't tell you enough how amazing it is to have a database of 7,000 people. It's really great, and every single one, I'm gonna use the laser, post-show feedback forms. So we do book vouchers, we do cafe vouchers. Hey, fill in this, you go in the draw to win this. Woo! I'll play with your kids while you fill it in. That has gotten us a huge database around the country. It also gets us really direct feedback. We know when people are really unhappy. We know when something was a bit mediocre. We encourage them to tell us really truthfully what they thought, and we ask them to sign up for our e-news. Usually, the best thing that we find on our post-show feedback forms is, would you come to see another Imaginary Theatre show, yes or no? 99.8% of people tick yes. That's huge for us. That's kind of like, okay, good. There's a 0.2 of people who may not like us so much. We need to work on that. But then the next line is, are there ways that you could tell your friends we'd love them to know about our show? And it works. And it makes next time heaps easier. Heaps and heaps easier. Cool. So that's my summary on doing marketing for really cheap. Plan ahead. Plan to the nth degree ahead of time. Know your audience, know where they are, and find them. Ask your audience what they want, how they want to find out, and why they would or wouldn't come to your stuff. They're really honest. Direct marketing, offsetting costs with in-kind support, which kind of comes into the planning thing. If you're really organised, you've got enough time to get stuff for free. Online and social media is huge. It's going to get at you 99% of what you want. And working with the presenter. Done. Ta-da.
I do still think it's relevant, the posters and the flyers. It's one of those things that, particularly if you don't have a great Facebook or e-database, it's a way that you can start getting it out there. And it's also just putting it where people would see. I mean, Fee talked about it as well. You're not just putting it in a black hole. Like when I'm advertising internally, because I'm on a university, we do flyers and posters, and we usually do them on the back of toilet doors because we know people are sitting and they're staring. Yeah. So things like that, or you know, where are our audience going for coffee afterwards, and that poster is there, and pointing them, like it's got to have an action for them to do as well, though. It's, you know, whether it's like us on Facebook, sign up to our e-news, or buy a ticket. But I do think that visual presence, it's very important.
Great, thank you.
But certainly when we're doing paid advertising, it's like Facebook business, and it actually tells you how many clicks you're getting and where you're getting it. I personally don't trust Facebook, so yeah. So I actually have it on our website. So I've got Google Analytics running, so I can see where the clicks are coming from. I like to check. I've paid for this. Yeah. Is that actually correct? So you do need to set that up, and I'm happy to talk to you more about that. We haven't had the best pickup of those, and it kind of looks ugly.
Yeah, they're really ugly.
I've tested them a fair bit as well. I used to work at QPAC and put them all through a couple of our publications, and I tracked all the links, and I didn't have any pickup. Alana Henry's in the room as well from QB. She's in a marketing extraordinaire. Have you had any experience with QR codes?
Yeah, I've tried them as well. I don't like putting them on general collateral where I've seen it work
Yeah.
So it would really need to be a new level of engagement to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's sort of phased out even from that.
It just,
I don't know.
it hasn't really ever worked, so I've seen it done well. So.
Can I add something, actually, just going back to the printed collateral? Flyers are handy to have because you can come to larger organisations like us and ask for favours, and if you've got flyers that we can...
Every
give
larger
out at the show
organisation
about,
ever.
You know, if Bee's got a show happening in December for kids and we've got Nutcracker with families in there, and she got some flyers and said, can you just drop one of your Nutcracker shows?
Yep.
We would probably do it because we're familiar with the machinery and we know it's quality product. We'd go, you got everything ready, easy. I don't have to do anything other than say to the venue, can you get your...
I normally keep a bunch of flyers in my handbag. I went to my GP and I was like, hey, can I just leave some flyers on the front thing? I was like, yeah, sure. We had about 45 people from a whole kindergarten group. Yeah. The kindergarten teacher had gone to the same GP, picked up a flyer, and we had a whole show sold out. I was like, where did you even... She was like, oh, my doctor's surgery. So we actually find that really random, and just asking people, going, hey, would this be okay if we just did this? 99% of people don't turn us down.
We've got a list, because in Toowoomba, you've got the regional, and we've got a list of, okay, where are you going? Yep, track. And so we have a full list of the top cafes where we know that they're visiting, the bookshops.
Yes.
So you're thinking of your audience as a whole. What are they doing in their spare time? Where are they going? We've got a very targeted list, and then every so often I go around to do it because I like to actually stay in touch with who my audience. I want to see where they're going. I want to see where my flyer is. I want to see if it's a stand. Oh, I've been doing a really fat flyer and you can only get one in here. Well, that's completely useless. I need to redo this.
Money for us.
Yeah, we're looking at doing a letterbox drop, and again, we'll get students and ourselves to do it, but it will be very targeted. This is the house price. We know that you're into these kind of things. This is what this suburb is known for. We are only going to hit these ones.
Yes. We find that maybe if we did a general distribution, if it's not targeted, if it's not actually in the cafes or the schools or the wherever where families are, it's only about 40% effective, which for us is a huge waste of cash. We don't have $500 to just throw to a distribution company. We were finding with the remote and the regional towns that we just toured through, they were getting interns from the high schools to do a bit of one of the guys would drive them around and just, hey, can I put a poster up? And it was really kind of a day's work. You know, we were sending them up the posters and flyers, and they were doing a solid day with a couple of people helping them, just stuff that we'd brainstorm going. They were like, we don't have a distribution company. And I was like, okay, so how do we get the stuff out for you? And it is just that visual impact. If someone sees something enough, they'll pick it up next time. So that tended to be the conversations I was having with a couple of the regional guys around, cool, so maybe there's some TAFE students, you know, depending on what's in your town, that might want to just help you for a couple of hours.
And especially like you're being a venue like ourselves, you're going to be doing your marketing ahead. So when you're doing that flyer drop, you're not doing it for one show.
You're doing it for 5.
You're doing it you've got your posters, and then you're kind of selling this whole brand as well. It's not just building your one show. It's building, we've got this and we've got this, and this is how this venue's actually supporting the community, and this is what they're doing. So, yeah.